Succeed in having one thing, and from it know 10,000 things. In the way, you must train day and night in order to make quick decisions. It is necessary to treat training as part of normal life, with your spirit unchanging. The spirit of fire is fierce, whether the fire be small or big, and so it is with battles. The time is the night of the 10th day of the 10th month, at the hour of the tiger. Hello there, and welcome once again to you wherever you may be on the planet. I hope you're well, I hope you are surviving in this difficult era that we live in. I had it in mind today to look once again at the wonderful words of Gurdjieff that are recorded in the book In Search of the Miraculous, and to look more closely and contemplate what they mean. It's been very still the last few weeks on the south coast, but there was a sudden flashing storm yesterday morning, a downpour. And when I stepped out of the front door, the ground was yellow with all the leaves that had fallen. And by the time I got back, I was covered in dirt and debris. It is just the same as menstruation. The events of the cycle, the blooming, the celebration and the glamour of the summery part of the year have passed, and the trees withdraw their life from the leaves and they turn yellow, and the remains of the year fall to the ground and are ground up mechanically by the winds of the earth and metabolically by the small creatures. And that material that was organic, part of the planetary bodies of the creatures here, is ground and returned into the substrate of the earth. And it goes down and begins its return journey to the source. And this season, the earth season, is the 5th season. Somehow I've managed to spend most of my life living with women, and so I immediately recognize the feeling that is in the streets today, the feeling of these torn leaves, as being exactly the same feeling as when a woman in the house has got her menses. There's something that can be felt in the environment, and just reflecting on it, it has several parts. One part is the feeling of dirt falling down. Not dirt in a bad way, but the slewing off, the casting off of something, like cleaning the dishes after dinner. Another feeling that is in the air is of rasping of new flesh as the old is stripped off. There's something new underneath that is slightly burning. Another perception I experience is the sudden breaking of a container that has just happened. And another perception is this hunger, gnawing hunger. At this time of year, I assume that some of this psychic material actually goes to the moon. Now, this book, written by Ouspensky, is for the most part a verbatim transcript and a recollection of incredible precision of the teachings of G.I. Gurdjieff. The difference between knowledge and understanding becomes clear when we realize that knowledge may be the function of one center. Understanding, however, is the functioning of 3 centers. Thus, the thinking apparatus may know something, but understanding appears only when a man feels and senses what is connected with it. We have spoken earlier about mechanicalness. A man cannot say that he understands the idea of mechanicalness if he knows only about it with his mind. He must feel. He must feel. He must feel it with his whole mass, his whole being. Then he will understand it. In the sphere of practical activity, people know very well the difference between mere knowledge and understanding. They realize that to know and to know how to do are 2 different things, and that knowing how to do is not created by knowledge alone. But outside the sphere of practical activity, people do not clearly understand what understanding means. As a rule, when people realize that they do not understand a thing, they try to find a name for what they do not understand. And when they find a name, they say they understand. But to find a name does not mean to understand. Unfortunately, people are usually satisfied with names. A man who knows a great many names, that is, a great many words, is deemed to understand a great deal, again, excepting, of course, the sphere of practical activity, wherein his ignorance very soon becomes evident. Gurdjieff sounds very Eastern, and there it is said, there are already too many names. If we go right down to the ground, the fundamental message from Gurdjieff's teaching is that you exist for a purpose. We all do. All creatures do. All suns do. All angels do. But somehow human beings only carry out a small portion of their responsibilities, and they are finding it very difficult to grow. In the sphere of practical activity, yes, if you give a man a spade, he can do real work. But if you give a man an idea or a feeling, he has difficulty in turning that into real manifestation. Hence, the whole world is talking words, 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 but they do not really result in anything. They're like rain that sheets off the side of a mountain. It's not going in. There is something missing. We must take the responsibility to take that rainwater, take that higher energy, and carry it and take it and penetrate it right to the core of us, right to our heart. That is our job. And the more men who do that, the better mankind will be. That is what is missing. Further, I would say this. About 15 years ago, I started studying Gurdjieff, and I had bought a lot of books and I was reading heavily. But I got very frustrated with it, and one day I picked up the whole lot of them and I carried them to the dustbins in a big vertical stack, and I opened the lid and I dropped the whole lot in them. And then I went to study Qigong and Catholicism. But later I brought them all back again, because by studying those 2 practical methods, I actually had somewhere to do the Gurdjieff work, practically manifesting the high intelligence of the centers. It can't be done just by observing, as some people might think. Self-observation is only a small part of Gurdjieff's teaching. Now, frequently I hear people saying on the internet that they're putting the information out there. Well, European people have been doing that for hundreds of years. They've collected information and they have put it out there. But it doesn't work, and it has not helped the West to put information out there. Because information is not understanding. What understanding means is I can do it. I can manifest it. And you can only learn that with the physical body. It is an idea plus your spirit plus doing something in reality. That is the living current. And there is nothing else that lives. Make that your God. People imagine that they often, if not always, understand one another. Or that they can at any rate understand one another if they try or if they want to. They imagine that they understand the authors of the books they read and that other people understand them. This also is one of the illusions which people create for themselves and in the midst of which they live. As a matter of fact, no one really understands anyone else. Two men can say the same thing with profound conviction, but call it by a different name. Or they argue endlessly together without suspecting that they are thinking exactly the same thing. Or vice versa, two men can say the same words and imagine that they agree with and understand one another, whereas they are actually saying absolutely different things and do not understand one another in the least. If we take the simplest words that occur constantly in speech and endeavour to analyse the meaning given to them, we shall see at once at every moment of his life. Every man puts into each word a special meaning which another man can never put into it or even suspect. Let me give you an example. When an American talks about Christianity, he's talking about Puritan Protestantism, which is very different from in Europe. When a European talks about Christianity, he means Catholicism, he means European culture, which includes a sense of the aristocracy, ancient traditions. They're quite different. They are both good, but they are quite different. They have some connection, yes. But once again, I would say that salvation is at hand, and that our situation really isn't that terrible and impossible, if only we take the joy of manifesting these ideas and make things. If we make things, we can see things, we see things we can understand, we bring new life into the situation. I spoke at the beginning of the 5th season of the Chinese 5-element system, yin and yang. The yang season, the season of assertion, is spring, pushing through, and the yin season of drawing back into the hidden earth, that is autumn. And between the two, rising from the earth between the two, is the winter. And descending from the peak, you have the summer, where the work has been done and there is a celebration of the sunlight. The 4 aspects or states of every substance have definite names. When a substance is the conductor of the first or the active force, it is called carbon. And like the carbon of chemistry, it is designated by the letter C. When a substance is the conductor of the second or the passive force, it is called oxygen. And like the oxygen of chemistry, it is designated by the letter O. When a substance is the conductor of the third or neutralizing force, it is called nitrogen. And like the nitrogen of chemistry, it is designated by the letter N. When a substance is taken without relation to the force manifesting itself through it, it is called hydrogen. And like the hydrogen of chemistry, it is designated by the letter H. The active, the passive, the neutralizing forces are designated by the figures 1, 2, 3, and the substances by the letters C, O, N, H. Do these 4 elements correspond to the old 4 alchemical elements, fire, air, water, earth? Asked one of us. Yes, they do correspond, said G. But we will use these. You will understand why afterwards. It was something this week I was thinking about birth. The miracle of creation, they say. Why do they say that? Well, a man and a woman can make several things together. But a birth is something quite spectacular, quite miraculous. Before the birth, there is love. The man and the woman make it possible for love to flow out of them, to emanate from them, which they very much enjoy. They need each other. And that is one thing that they make together. They make many things together. And it is always unknown. You are one pole, you are heaven, or you are earth. And to struggle with the unknown, something new is born through you, something that cannot be understood. A current travels through you. Well, thank you once again for listening and reflecting on these things with me. I wish you all the best.